La'Don Buchanan knows a thing or two about defying the odds and making his circumstances work for him rather than him working for his circumstances. You see, in the early part of his life, he was unable to communicate, which forced him to listen rather than to talk. It was in that moment that he decided to use perseverance as his muscle of strength. And now, as a keynote speaker, he challenges all of us to look deep inside of ourselves and demand the very best of ourselves, even on our darkest days. And these days, in addition to inspiring others, Buchanan uses his gift of communication to serve proven experts by optimizing their marketing presence online to attract his clients' ideal candidates to do business with. He joined me this week to tell me all about his personal triumphs, his struggles, and how it all has intertwined to make him the person and businessman he is today. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Well, John, if you're ready, I'll welcome you to the program, and I'm excited to learn all about your personal journey and life and in business. Great to see you this morning, and thanks for a few minutes, buddy.
Likewise, man. Thank you so much for having me.
So, La'Don, I wanted to start a conversation with the early part of your life where you couldn't communicate as effectively as you do now, and I know that was a huge turning point in your life. So I'm wondering if you can tell me all about it.
Yeah. So as a child, my memory starts back at 4 years old, and I've always had such a severe speech impediment that I wasn't able to really speak. Honestly, it wasn't like I had trouble. It was like if you said, "Hi, how are you doing?" my response would take 5 minutes, like literally 5 minutes. So I learned very quickly that most people didn't want to talk to me, which kind of moved me to the point of just becoming a quiet person and just knowing that it'd be best if I just didn't speak at all. And I wasn't really too angry about that. It wasn't a point of like, oh, no one likes me, as much as it was, I just wanted to figure out a way to exist without, having to be looked at as a burden.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to tell you, La'Don, I was born with what's called spastic quadriplegia cerebral palsy. It just simply means that I don't have enough oxygen in my legs to walk normally. So, I admire your journey through perseverance and overcoming obstacles, buddy.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Perseverance and embracing the avenues of growth in which it provides all of us is a different process for everyone, and I asked Buchanan to define that journey for him.
Yeah, I would literally start with belief. Like me speaking now, as clear as I'm speaking now, is 100% belief, because, and we'll obviously get into it a little bit later, but there was no major surgery or dramatic like physical therapy or speech therapy that I went to through in order to be able to, speak how I am now. It was more about, I just found different stories in my journey that I related to the point where it was more of a, if they could do it in their circumstances, then I felt like I could as well.
And now you use your gift of communications to help people sort of redefine and strengthen their online marketing message. So I'm wondering if you could tell me all about that one, buddy.
Yeah. So, one of the cool things about when you can't talk is you have the opportunity to learn how to listen very well, because, once I stopped trying to talk to people and I stopped trying to have conversations, and I would just kind of sit there and smile and just listen, what I found out was people like came to me often to talk. So they would tell me all of these different things. And what I would say was I developed my skill of being able to listen so I could see through people's words. I could hear what was really bothering them or what really mattered to them. And what I've done is I took that skill of being able to hear what people really, really wanted, and I've turned it into essentially a business where I'm helping people, again, redefine their marketing message, mainly optimize it, because most of my clients are already they're doing fairly well for themselves, but it was more pre-COVID, which meant that they could rely on referrals and walk-in traffic and that kind of stuff. But when you're looking to gain clients from the online world, it's completely different. People tend to look you and your business up before they even engage with you, which means that your marketing message needs to be tight and on point.
Yeah. If you're wondering now what the best part about living life is for Buchanan, he answered that question with this response.
A lot of that comes from me living abroad for the greater portion of my adult life. So outside of being in the Air Force for 12 years and then playing international basketball, I also chose to, live abroad. And me living abroad really gave me a much, much deeper perspective on what it looks like to live life to the fullest. So it's I'll sum it up in two things. Winners win and champions always adjust. And I think that you're a great example of that, especially with 300 podcasts behind your belt now. You know what I mean? Like, that's awesome, man.
Well, I appreciate the compliment, and I certainly respect all of the work that you're doing to move the needle of inclusion. So I wanted to personally thank you for that. But I also wanted to know your thoughts on how technology, can help folks with disabilities or who may be introverted sort of show their more personal side as well, and become more vocal through communications through the internet.
Yeah. Honestly, I look at that like this. It's one of those things where there's billions of people on this earth, and there are at least 1,000 people on earth who have an internet connection who would want to be a follower of yours, a customer of yours, or a partner of yours. And 1,000 is me being highly conservative. So by being able to tap into the internet and the AI, but that's another part of it, but mainly just focusing on reaching the people who would want to work with you, it gives you an invaluable amount of leverage. Because again, for me, I'm from the United States, but 80% of my clientele are international. And I've been able to make a great living and, help a lot of people along the way. But think about it. If I only focused on people in, the Western world or, United States, I would have been limiting my abilities significantly as far as being able to build a solid business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that you built your business without a huge amount of following or a whole lot of money. So how and would you suggest that other people sort of take a page out of your playbook in business in order to build something that's sustainable if they don't have a lot of resources?
Yeah, honestly, it's obviously easier building something when you do have a decent amount of resources, but for me, it's more fun looking to do it without it, because it allows you to innovate when you probably wouldn't if you did have more resources. So what I always, look to tell people in this kind of situation is, again, there are people out there who want to work with you. They want to buy from you. They want to be a loyal fan of yours. But in order for them to find you, first, you have to know you, and you have to be able to articulate you on your landing page and your emails and all of your marketing message. And you have to do that with a level of clarity that you know a few things, and I'll list them off right now. So this is a framework that I call this is blank, I know it well. So this is your problem, I know it well. This is you, I know it well. This is me, I know it well. This is my proper solution to your problem, I know it well. And this is the risk that I've removed so that you can feel comfortable in this transaction, because I know all of this well. If you can answer that in your marketing message without literally saying those things, not only will you attract all of the right people to you, but you'll also build something that I like to call a risk-free marketing machine, which means that you'll end up waking up almost on a daily basis with new people reaching out to you to want to work with you at a high level.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing those tangible steps. I think they're practical and useful, and people will get a lot of out of that. And now I want to talk about your international travels. As you've mentioned, you have traveled all over the world playing international basketball. And I want to know all about your international adventures because you've lived in a lot of different countries. So tell me about some of your traveling highlights, if you will, buddy.
Yeah, and no problem. So my international travel started in the Air Force. Now, the Air Force only sent me to like 4 countries, and 2 of them, let's just say they're not tourist destinations to say the least. But the everything started for me in South Korea. When I made it there, they had a really great basketball community. So I got, kind of assimilated into that. But really, outside of the military, outside of basketball, really, it was just the allure of being in what looked like a different world, and things just operated so much different. And even though I was a foreigner, I didn't speak the language or anything like that. It was more like I felt like a kid in the candy store. There were so many new things to explore and try, and all of those things, man. So that was the beginning, and I enjoyed myself so much that I started to, spend a lot of time doing leisure travel. So most of my travel is like me being a lover of travel. It wasn't my military background. Very little of it was me playing basketball. It was literally me just being someone saying, man, you know what, this year I'm going to 25 countries. And I would just plan it out and I would go.
Well, I have to tell you, I want to thank you for your service to America. It's most appreciated, and I know that traveling abroad brings a different perspective on life and playing basketball. So I'm wondering your thoughts on playing international basketball, the experiences you had while doing that, and sort of the life perspective, and how it might have changed by living overseas.
Oh yeah, that was, you know, for what it's worth, that was my first time, ever looking at an opportunity of making life-changing income. Granted, it wasn't the NBA or any of that kind of stuff, but like again, like if you're just in the military and that's all you have going on, which that kind of puts you in a regular 9 to 5 category, being able to like sign a contract to play basketball and have that contract be more than what you're making annually in your job, it changed the game. What it also did was it put me in environments with people of a higher caliber, which I immediately latched on. And these things were extremely impactful for me being who I am today, because what really happened in my time of traveling and playing basketball was I started to meet people who were getting closer and closer to fitting the mold of the kind of person I wanted to be.
Always say that surrounding yourself with like-minded people and people that always will push through is always important. So it's always important to strike that balance. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%, man. I spent the first, half of my life focused on what I didn't want and making sure that I never put myself in a position to get something that I didn't want. But when I started meeting all of these people, it was like, well, these guys are really focused on what they want and they're going after what they want. And that was a big dynamic change for me.
Yeah, 100%. And tell me, my final question for you, buddy, is how do you think you want your legacy to be defined both personally and professionally? And if people want to get connected with you, what's the best way they can do that, bud?
Yeah. So I'll start from the back. Getting connected, you can go to La'DonBuchanan.com. That's LADONBUCHANAN.com. And borderline life story is already over there, and that'll be a great way to get in contact. But as far as the other part of the question, I would definitely say that like it's been invaluable, just being able to develop the muscle of perseverance while also positioning myself to just focus on what I want more of. By me focusing on what I want more of, what tends to happen is it shows up in my life. And then at that point, it's up to me to take action on it, which we would all want that kind of scenario. Like, think about it, focus on it, it shows up, and now all you have to do is act instead of thinking or dreaming or hoping or wishing. It's like all you have to do now is act.
Well, La'Don, I have to tell you, I'm better for spending about a half an hour with you today, buddy. And I'm inspired by listening to your inspirational story. And I want to thank you for all the work that you've done to inspire others, both in life and in business, to maximize their personal and professional potential. I really want to thank you for your time, energy, and insights on my behalf. It's most appreciated.
Likewise, man. Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome. And again, I'm inspired by you as well. 300 podcasts, and I can tell that you are the kind of man that, again, you embody winners win and champions always adjust. So that's awesome.
Well, thanks for the time, and thanks for the generous compliment, buddy. It's most appreciated.
All right. Thank you so much, man.